Elden Ring Nightreign has added a huge update, which adds new bosses, Everdark Sovereigns, which act as enhanced versions of the Nightlord bosses that you know. They'll be periodically dropping in over time. You can think of them as hard mode versions of the existing bosses, with the phase transition started off, as well as a brand new second phase with new attacks, further amping up the difficulty. There is currently only a Gaping Jaw expedition available, but we will receive another one next week, as there will be a weekly rotation between Gaping Jaw, Dark Drift Knight, and Sentient Pests. To unlock them, you must defeat the earlier versions of the Night Lord, in this week's case, the Gaping Jaw. The other bosses are to be added at a later date, assumingly thrown into the rotation also. The final boss was not included in the list, however, so we don't know FromSoft's plans for an enhanced Yule Star fight, or if it will ever be dropped. As of now, it's safe to assume that they don't have any plans for it. This update introduced Sovereign Sigils as a brand new currency. You'll need to earn these by defeating the Everdark Sovereigns, and you will also be receiving Merc equal to the amount you would receive after beating the final boss. For the first time that you end up beating the Everdark Sovereign, at least in my case, you're rewarded with a 25 Sovereign Sigils. If you're feeling brave and want to go back to defeat the Everdark Sovereign again, however, you will only receive 5 sigils. Even if you end up losing the expedition on your following attempts, you will still receive 1 sigil. These drop alongside the relics, of course, and the merc that you normally get from completing an expedition. There is also a brand new vendor called the Collector Signboard Merchant, which you can access them after you've defeated one of the new enhanced Everdark Sovereign bosses. Once you've done that, you can find them located just outside of the building, right next to the shore. The Collector Signboard Merchant accepts Sovereign Sigils, which is the new currency, and with these you can purchase new relics, which very similarly to the Small Jar Bazaar are preset relics that are going to be very strong. Wilder's new relics, incredibly powerful. New chalices. You'll be able to get any of the existing cosmetic skins without having to pay merc for them. You also, for 1 Sovereign Sigil, arguably the most important thing about this new vendor is you can trigger any Shifting Earth event. So for me personally, I really like to use a setup with the Executioner in which you upgrade your starting weapon. So getting the Volcano Shifting Earth event would be very helpful if you like to play like that. You also, for 1 Sovereign Sigil, able to change the game's visuals, I guess per se, between a dark and light mode. This is fantastic if you prefer a brighter environment or just want to switch things up from the default visuals. Although I wouldn't use this for your first purchases, as considering there are a lot more useful options, as well as the ability to get a enhanced versions of the relics. So you can buy for 600 at the Small Jar Bazaar random relics of any kind, but the ones that you purchase at the Collector Signboard will be randomized giant relics, so with the 3 slots, and will be much better if you have already purchased all of the preset relics. I recommend you do before you go try to gamble your way through it. You can also exchange the Witch's Brute relic for kind of a cracked version of it. This is primarily for lore reasons. From my testing, I can't see any difference between the cracked variant of the relic and the standard version of the relic. There really is to the brand new update. If you didn't like the existing Gaping Jaw boss, you probably aren't going to like this one. And if you did like the Gaping Jaw boss, you're probably going to really like this one. The following part of the video is just going to be gameplay on expedition runs against the Gaping Jaw. If you don't want to be spoiled on the new phase, then do not watch this part of the video. And if there's anything else you want to see or get covered, if you want me to look at the new relics they have in the shop, feel free to let me know and I'll do separate videos on all of those.